Welcome to another episode of Bag Combos, aka the Bag Podcast.
This ain't no hoe shit. This is that bad talk.
This is a platform that I wanted to create to have great conversations where we discuss just about anything. Relationships, real life, food, music, even that demon time.
We the type of call eyes and have a stand up. Make a thotty call your homie.
I would. I just want. Yo, you're 5 years old. What the fuck?
Apple slices are clutch.
Oh my god! I eat apples. I just don't be eating them like that. I just never crave
in some way.
I just never crave apples.
Apple fries. When McDonald's started this, I was like, what kind of nonsense? I came to McDonald's for heart attacks, not for... Come on, man.
Wow.
Are they good at least, or they just taste like? Are they just apples?
I don't know, bro.
They're just apples.
They're just apples.
What do you mean? Are they good?
I don't know. Maybe they put some stuff on it. I don't know.
They jip you because they only give you a half apple.
Oh, that's messed up.
Oh, wow.
Well, as a kid, though, I mean, you don't expect a kid.
Finish a full apple.
I mean, they could, but the Happy Meal has gotten smaller and smaller. So,
oh, look at the fries, bro.
You got a mini.
No, that's literally the Happy Meal. That's not a mini fry. Bro.
No, I know. It's just funny.
Oh, I got a Whopper. Wait, it's a McDonald's.
Wow.
They call this shit a Big Mac, a mini Mac.
Just a
small Mac.
Just a cheeseburger.
Small Mac.
Oh, I got a toy too. Donald Duck, yo.
Don't act like you don't get this every Tuesday.
Stop playing with me.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, people, welcome. We're gonna get into it. I'm your lovely host. And my name is Sean. If you don't know, now you know. West Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where I did spend most of my days. I liked math, so I did math problems every now and then. My co-host here, Mr. Sarfo, will get into his intro, and we got the producer is finally in the building. She gave me my contract, 1 season, a show agreement, and we appreciate that. Well, one episode, one episode a season, yes.
Barely do an episode.
Understood. It's an NDA. We can't talk about it on the podcast.
Yes,
and we have our guest tonight, Keneal Brown, longtime friend. Another person I met at the institution that shall not be named. But yes, I'll let him get into his own introduction. You can introduce yourself however you want, but go ahead, co-host. AKA
Sid the Kid.
AKA
Sid the Science Kid.
AKA
Future Doc on the block.
My God, who recommended those?
I made them all up.
He created his own.
You weren't supposed to admit that part.
Oh
Why?
my gosh. All right.
They're great AKAs.
Chanel.
I don't have a nickname. It's just me.
Okay. Well, Chanel, our lovely producer that we always mention. And Keneal, introduce yourself to the people, to the audience.
How you gonna say my name then and say introduce myself? You already did, bro.
Well, I mean, how you might got some superlatives that you might want to let certain people know.
It's K. Beasley. All right. Boy, big yai boy. How y'all doing tonight? How y'all feeling out there in America? You feel me? I got this Happy Meal slapping, and yes, I have a Happy Meal. I'm not playing.
Wow. Well, sometimes you got to go back to your roots, man. So.
What happened to your arm?
Huh?
Oh, I fell off my motorcycle.
Oh, I also want to do the same thing, but wow, I hope it's okay. What was it? Catastrophic?
Since when do you have a motorcycle?
A lot of things have happened next Doc on the block.
Anyway.
Moving forward.
All right, but tonight's topic is
Oh, good.
music. The lovely topic of music. It can bring you up, it can bring you down, it can make you feel so many different types of emotions. Um, or it could just be something to listen to. We got mumble rap nowadays, whatever you like. But we're going to talk about it. Um, but first, we're just going to start out with just kind of how we feel about music today, because it's obviously you got to talk about it today. We can go on and on about the music of the history, but current events is, well, the current state of music is kind of what most people get into on the daily. So I would share to the panel what exactly stands out to y'all about music today. So, like, what areas have artists progressed in, certain things that died, whichever genre you favor or get into. But what's your opinion?
There's just so much. There's just so much music.
Yeah, you listen to two genres, if that.
I mean, I understand that, but it's not like I'm open to listening to whatever. I listen to whatever I feel sounds good.
You listen to
If
the Olivia Rodrigo album?
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know who
What
that
Spotify playlist you been dipping in?
is.
the
I don't,
top 20, the top songs.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
The good for you, happy and healthy.
Hey, we ain't trying to get
Yeah.
copyrighted now.
We look,
I mean, it's not like we're playing it, so
yeah.
we'll be all right. But I don't know who that is. I listen to whoever sounds good to me. I don't, regardless of the genre. I mean, other than really like country, but I just feel like now that like there's just so much music all the time. Because before we used to like anticipate like one album, like a couple albums, like a year, and like you knew the date, and then it's you look forward to it. But now it's just like there's a new one like every other week, and it's kind of like shock drops. It's like, oh, other than like mainstay like Drake, like everyone knows when Drake drops, but other than like if it's like a random song. But I think it's just not oversaturated. It's just like it's just so much being produced and given to us. It's kind of hard to like keep track.
Yeah, I agree. Personally, I used to be able to keep up. Like it was a morning ritual on Fridays, listening to music Friday, and I was expecting singles, but now I'm getting albums every week, and there's just a fast turnaround. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's very progressive. I think it's competitive. I think that there's no longer like even the other day I was trying to have a conversation with somebody about like the top 3 artists right now of like rap, and I couldn't narrow it down to 3 because like even in 2021 alone, like there's been so many projects that, or even 2020 and 2021, like you can't narrow it down to 3. There's no Jay-Z, Nas, and Biggie anymore. It's like a setup. It's like a whole roster.
Depends on your taste, for real, for real.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the advent and introduction of streaming platforms, like I know y'all ain't getting sponsored, but like Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, Tidal, yo Jay-Z, oh, sponsors. But there's so many streaming platforms that I would actually say that it's reduced the competition, but also increased inspiration and motivation in regards to artistry. Like before, there was I guess, a fixed image that surrounded what good music was. You know, what good R&B was like, what good rap was like. If you didn't sound like Jay-Z or Nas, if you weren't a lyricist in that regard, your music was, it didn't capture the attention of the producers. However, now with the streaming platforms in line, the power has kind of been put into the hands of the people, and the people are telling you what they think sounds good, and that opens up the doors for artists, neo R&B artists, and it also for the artists that you love, it also allows you to see like the discography, like you know, like you know, like Jay-Z, like you listen to his hot records right now, but as a kid, you always hear your parents talking about what you know about that young blood, like, and then you go back and you listen to their music. Now you have the opportunity to see like all the different colors and sounds of music that a single artist has released. And I think it's like it's a beautiful thing. The
Mm,
definition of like who's the best and what's the best, man, it's you gotta do so much, set up so many metrics to kind of answer that question in terms of like what does the best mean?
mm,
Like,
Right. There's no like one best. It's so hard to narrow down.
yeah.
I like the oversaturation, for lack of a better word, of like the music market, but I think in some ways it makes music like transactional. Like if an artist don't get you on that first listen of their album, their EP, whatever, you probably not gonna go back, and that sucks because I feel like in maybe even 5 6 years ago, artists had the advantage of like having music videos and like concerts and listening and like all that stuff to help support their project. But now it's like my project drops on Friday. If people don't remember it by Monday, we gotta put it on TikTok, or else it's not gonna like
Yeah.
blow up or something like that. Which sucks because it used to like I feel like music used to be an experience. Like you would wait on 106 in Park or MTV videos or something to like watch the video, but then also listen to like the single. And remember, you used to have to like buy singles like on iTunes or whatever for like $1 or something. But now it's like the whole project or nothing. Which in evaluating music makes it like harder because then you got to really sit there and listen, which is ironic because the people that are listening to music don't want to sit there and listen to the whole album. They want to hear a song real quick and then they buy into the album. But I think places like Spotify made it easy to like identify discography and then even suggested art, like just even the platform of like where you listen to music makes it easier for people to find artists, like new artists and stuff. But it's just as a disadvantage to the artist because you have to create like a whole good project in one hit or else niggas not coming back.
I
Y'all
think
be watching music videos anymore?
Not anymore.
not
no.
really.
I used,
Nah.
if it's not on TV, I'm not watching it.
I used to watch this show all the time.
I used when I didn't have the streaming platforms, like that's where you had to go if you, because obviously back in the day before iPhone basically made it illegal to like download music without paying for it, unless you just wanted to take the time to put viruses on your computer, you had to watch YouTube to listen to certain songs or favorite songs that you wanted or whatever. So it just changed the whole like thing. But to be honest, I don't. It's I would say it's both beneficial for the artist and the consumer because, as y'all said, like you got the whole discography or whatever. Because like, yeah, you can go to like a Jay-Z or Nas or somebody and listen to like the first album, the second album to see what the hype is about, especially if you either grow up listening to that on the radio or in the car and stuff like that. Whereas now that's not being played on the radio. You just got the new artist or the hot song that's on right now or something like that. So it allows you to expand your horizon. For me personally, it doesn't bother me either way because I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to. And my spectrum is very strange, but I would say I personally like it. It also allows me to expand my horizon because I don't have anything against Androids, but when I did have one, I would download music and I refused to buy Spotify because I was just like, I'm not paying for music when I could get it for free. But it just became harder and harder to download music. And Chanel was just like, bro, you have to get Spotify. And then I was like, okay, well, I like this album and I want to
I
listen
want
to a
everyone to
specific song.
recognize that it was recently that he made that transition.
It
Like
was my freshman year
Wait,
in
transition from
college
what to what?
from
his Android to using any streaming site.
yeah, Spotify. I got Spotify freshman year, which was
I mean,
6 years
Spotify
ago
was
now.
basically free at that point, so you kind of
That's
had
exactly my I was like, there's a free version, and
it was free, and
Mad
then like
commercials and you
if you were a
play the
student,
song you wanted.
you only pay like $4.
it's just one less what they call it, a Philly cheesesteak a week. That's it. Then you can have Spotify. Think about it like that.
You don't gotta put hoagie after it. But I mean it's cool. I subscribe to some new artists of today. I definitely love female rap today. Um I haven't gotten too deep into neo soul of today,
Oh,
but
you
it
will.
is
You will.
I understand that music is definitely beautiful and But it does go person to person though. So like what I would say who are y'all mainly listening to today? Like what new things that have you been exposed to? Who are you still on or in your constant rotation?
I listen a lot more. I don't mean to say this like I wasn't listening to them before, but I don't know why you're making that face, Sean. I listen to a lot more female artists.
Okay. Thought you was about to say Gunna, but
no, ain't nothing wrong with Gunna. But yeah, I listen to a lot. I listen to like Kaylani, LMA, SZA, like all those people.
Okay. News to me.
You knew I was listening to them. I discovered LMA on myself on my own though.
Fuck out of here.
I'm so serious. It was
his first album.
Huh?
LMA's first album did not hit for me. I have to say, I only liked she ain't me or something like that. Like one song, and that was in like freshman year in college for me, I think. And I was like, this girl is so talented, but she's like not doing it. And she has such good features. Like I was so disappointed. But then the second album came out, the one where she's like in like the pink jacket or whatever.
That's technically her first album.
The first one was an EP, like the black and white.
All those ones before the one with like 13 songs on it, those are all like technically EPs.
Oh, see, I'm mistaken. Well, that she needed that, like that practice, because I was not feeling it. Like her singles and her like when she had features on other people's songs, like amazing. That first album though, I was like, finally, like you grew up. And even then, there was some annoying ass songs. Like she kept chatting. The poetry, R&B.
What? Y'all don't look when her G Herbo.
You said it wasn't.
Stop talking. Like
you can take that spoken word to the club, man. I'm not trying to come at him, but
yeah.
What, man? The first album, she was spelling out her name. She was like L, love.
That's already.
And I'm just like.
I like when people do like SZA, like once an interlude or like twice an outro, like whatever, intro, outro. But you can't do it the whole album, man. It's 13 songs.
It's a lot.
It's 13 songs that are saying you're chatting.
Yeah, it's a lot. Go ahead. No, go ahead. You got it.
I was not trying to say like I'm not really like into like I've been trying to classify it, but I really find I have a hard time like trying to put a big phrase or word around what I like to listen to. Like I can name like artists I have grown to appreciate over like the past year, especially like in the pandemic. I like really sat down and started listening to music and really trying to figure out like what my sound was. I'm a big fan of neo R&B, like The Internet, Smino, Gold Link, Henderson .Paak, Duckworth. Like their music has a vibe that I just can't describe. It's like when you hear the sound, like I'm gonna name Tyler the Creator.
That's not even neo soul. That's rap.
That's rap. Tyler the Creator, man.
That's rap, Sean.
That's
Igor is not rap.
Yeah, Igor.
That's Igor though.
That's Igor. That's.
If you look at him as a whole, his shit is rap.
Yeah. He's a hard ass rapper, and I'm tired of people trying to demasculate him because of his. He is a hard ass rapper.
I'm not trying to demasculate
about fucking Justin Bieber, but we'll also talk about killing niggas, and both will work on the same time.
I still don't think he could have won that Grammy for in the category of rap though.
His music, I think that his work has this rawness about it.
Yes, I agree.
Raw. It's like unfiltered Tyler. And it's amazing to listen to. Like I will admit 100% I'm a bandwagon. Because in high school, when he dropped whatever he dropped, I can't even remember the name. I was like, hey yo.
Fucking Triceratops.
I was
like, wow.
You just gonna release this and it's okay? Nah, it's not. But like as he's like transformed, and this last year, like I got on Spotify, so I'm talking about discography, and I just randomly started to listen to more of his albums. And each album successively, especially like the one "Call Me If You Get Lost," like I've been bumping "Call Me If You Get Lost" since it dropped every single day. The song "Corso," I'm in my car like,
I gotta listen to it. I ain't even know he
bro,
dropped a new one.
Oh yeah, you gotta listen to it. So
bro, it's great.
I have a few feelings about Tyler, and they're good. Number
Mhm.
one, I talking about things I appreciate about Tyler. So I don't know if you noticed, like in rap in the past, like you would hear a lot of like soul samples in hard ass rap songs, like that Jay-Z song. I don't even remember the name, but it's like a lot of like Anita Baker's voices and things like that, very like smooth, buttery voices over like hard ass rap. And he does that so well. And to be able to do that, like Kino just said it, when in high school we wasn't feeling it, and now
Mhm.
we are. To be able to withstand the test of time,
Yeah.
like that's amazing. And it wasn't like a artist that dropped off. He still did his features. I believe he went on a tour between 2014 and now. Like I appreciate that. That's great artistry, and that's why I appreciate. Like I don't listen to him consistently to be able to say I'm a fan, but I appreciate that from him. My other feeling about Tyler is that something I appreciate about him, but also like that works at his disadvantage. And I told Kano this the other day. His projects sound a lot like mixtapes, and like overall, like the you can't differentiate the songs apart. Like it's a bunch of like DJ cuts and like he'll say like some ad libs or like some high pitched notes, and then he'll go into the next song. Like I can't if I listen to the album, somebody be like, "What song is that?" I don't know,
Yeah.
but it bangs.
I see what you're saying. Because granted, I'm not. I enjoy the physical funny side of Tyler, like Loader Squad and all that type shit. But I haven't. Igor was the only album I really listened to. Like, what was it? The like Bumblebee album. I tried to get into that, but I didn't finish it though. But yeah, I get what you said. I do agree though. Like if you listen to Igor all the way through, it does kind of sound like one long song. You could tell the difference, but like when I was first listening to it, I had to constantly check my phone to be like, is this a different song? Is this a different song?
And it's crazy for me personally. If I save a song that I think I like at the moment, I listen to it next. It just don't sound good without the rest of the
Yeah.
album. So I have to listen to his whole projects, and therefore I have to be in the mood, which makes it like he can't drop like a single very often, and I go back like damn, I have to listen to this album. Like I'll listen to a single and that's it, or the album
Yeah.
overall. Like I have to just be in the mood, and it makes for inconsistent fans, at least for me.
Yeah. His single was on the Spotify playlist and that shit was not 9 minutes and I was like, that's
But he can get away with that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? There's artists that can get away with long ass albums like Chris Brown. But there's people that can get away with long ass songs like Tyler.
Like on his most recent album, I'll actually say that the fact that it kind of blends together is actually something I really like. I think for me that makes the composition even greater because I'm so engaged. But I guess that's what you're saying. If you don't feel it, you don't feel it. But like
Exactly.
I'm so engaged, and the tempo just keeps switching. So like from the second song on the most recent album to like maybe like the sixth or the seventh, the whole time I'm vibing. Like
Yeah.
and I don't really feel like a jut in my emotions. It's more like it's taking me on a ride and I'm going with it. I'm just
Yeah.
like flowing with it.
Yeah.
But it kind of brings me into like the next point. It's like there's two things that was said earlier, like in the discussion. And it's like when is music like not transactional? Because like you can talk about music from the perspective of it's a business, but you can also talk about it from the perspective as it's artistry, and artists will always have that tug and pull between trying to stay true to themselves and feeling appreciated by the public, because the public to some extent truly does influence or bring their platform up. The more people that listen to their music, the more their music spreads. And like the second point like I wanted to bring up is like what is like weird like music. Like everybody has like a range of tastes, and I also think like some artists really hit it well, and they kind of break down that like thought of I have to have one sound like to be considered good in music or to appeal to these people, especially like in like I don't like it's not a race discussion, but like in the black community, like
Mm.
I ain't gotta be hard. I want to listen to some rock. I want to listen to some soft stuff, man. Like this variation in sound.
That
I,
I
That was my problem. I didn't want to listen to no soft stuff.
Get the fuck out of here.
You are missing out, man. You need something to drown out the tears sometimes, yo.
No, that's why I listen to like those artists that I mentioned earlier.
I'm the weird person who just like never. Yes, my main things are rap and R&B, but like I can listen to if it sounds good, I can understand it or listen to it.
Even
Like I
works
want to
out
say
to
like
Beyonce.
look, I can listen to. I'm the type of person I can listen to anything at any point in time. Like I can hit Adele, Beyonce, then also G Herbo or whatever, and go into it. Or like over the pandemic, like Queen, I got into Queen, and if you understand, they're a part of a lot of pop culture. And believe it or not, you've heard more Queen songs than you think. And some people might be like, "Oh, what is Queen?" Freddie Mercury, um, just think about a lot of commercials you've heard in the last like 8 months. You can probably think that you heard Queen, and some people are like, "Who's Queen?" It's a rock band that was like I think 80s, 70s or whatever. But Bohemian Rhapsody, a lot of different stuff like that. I listened to Zara Larson, Olivia Rodrigo, all those type of people, and you may look at me and be like, "Why do you listen to that?" I mean, one, I can connect with it a little bit. Two, it sounds good mostly because it sounds good. But it just like I didn't care what you thought I listened to because obviously back in the day, a lot of songs that we was like shit go hard was not technically a part of our community because if you Fireflies for example,
Yeah.
we were singing that song out our ass, but that's not our genre. There are so many songs that like I would say we probably listened to in middle school and high school that like weren't hard or weren't our typical R&B and stuff like that. But it is what it is. So it's like my range is expansive, but obviously I stay within hip hop and R&B for the majority of it, but I can drift out and stuff like that. And I think that's okay so that you don't stay stagnant and stuff like that. And also I play a lot into my roots of back in the day when I had good memories sitting in the backseat of the car, just listen to the Quiet Storm or them old R&B records or them
Yeah.
soul stuff, Marvin Gaye, Anita Baker,
Yeah.
you name it.
I honestly, I don't feel like that's an unpopular opinion. Like I think a lot of people have range. Me and Joshua was listening to Queen the other day. I think a lot of people don't necessarily talk about it because it's not current. I think
Mm-hmm.
people more strive to be current and like with the shits rather than being in one genre. Like when SZA dropped Control, everybody, like guys, black, white, everybody was talking about it. But now if you listen to Control, it's like, damn, that's an old ass album. It's not necessarily that it's SZA or that's R&B, it's that it's old. And I said that to you all the time. Like I'm not one to talk. I said it to you all the time. But yeah, I don't think it's on. Like people have like a lot of like a wide music range, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually to an artist's advantage to like broaden their range. Like for example,
Yeah.
like I was talking about the baby recently. I think that unfortunately he's a terrible artist in my opinion. But what keeps him on the charts is the fact that he can collaborate with a lot of different artists on through a lot of different platforms. It doesn't have to be like just rap or just music videos or whatever. He can perform with people.
Yeah,
He
Dua
can
Lipa.
make right, do exactly, and that's what keeps him on top. So it doesn't even matter what we like at some point as
Yeah.
consumers. It matters the range.
Yeah. And Tyler, I was listening to a podcast or whatever, and they did talk about Tyler saying that like um it's about the art form more so. And he literally was like, Will I Am had basically told him like, bro, you gotta cater to the people. Like, fuck what you trying to like basically do with music. And then Tyler was like, fuck that. I'm gonna make the music I want to create. Because
Mhm.
obviously, if you pay attention to Tyler's music and then Will I Am and the Black Eyed Peas, that's just Super Bowl party music or whatever. And not too many people are playing that unless you're fucking at a
In those
school or
atmospheres.
yeah, school orientation or some shit and like party rock and it's like well not party rockers, but fucking I got a feeling
Yeah.
like you're not listening to that on your daily commute unless you just heavy Black Eyed Peas. But
You
I
listen to
think
the
it's
radio.
yeah, but I feel like artists nowadays are staying true to the art form. It's just some people get so caught into that one album that they're just like, this is your sound and you need to stick to it. If you pay, and the best example to describe this is Drake. Everybody fucking loves Take Care. But ever since Take Care, no Drake album is good at the start.
Just the
You
expectation.
saw it with Views. Nobody was really on Views when it
No
came.
one rocks with Views. It doesn't make no sense.
No, hold on. Views was very widely disliked unless you were a Drake
for
fan.
No reason though. That's
But
what I'm saying.
A year or so later, Views was the hardest thing Drake ever put out. And I feel like Drake goes through that same evolutions with most of his albums. Probably not Scorpion so much.
Scorpion, that shit was too long, bro. I'm sorry.
That was the problem. He thought he was one of them artists that could drop 25 songs.
Yeah, bro. Only Chris Brown can do that, and him, it's like a stretch.
I don't even like that.
We want the single. We want the 2 crying songs. We want the 1 song that you're offended niggas on, and we want the album. That's it. That's
exactly.
all. Like the rest of them is
exactly. And Views fulfilled that for the most part.
Literally, perfect.
And niggas was not rocking with Views. It made no sense to me. Niggas was like, Views is ass. Like what?
People get caught up in that artist and that one album, and try to like stick them within that sound. And I think some people play it to their advantage, and some people, it hinders them in a weird way. The Baby is obviously a person, but he's a entertainer, so he knows how to manage it. But then you have other people who, if you look at a Cole, you can look back and say that no album of Cole's is the same. But that's one because he takes time with his projects or whatever. People may not like that, but he makes sure that his project is better than the last, instead of creating another project that exists in the same sound or plays into the same sound.
I mean, that's just entertainment in general.
But not everybody follows that schematic, because you got some artists, which I mentioned earlier, Gunna. I feel like that nigga sounds the same with most things he puts out.
Nah, I'm sorry.
To me,
you haven't listened to the whole thing, but what I was saying, that's entertainment in general. Like, look at Kevin Hart, like, great comedian, a comedian that people loved when he first started. People loved Grown Little Man, like Laugh at My Pain, like all these great, shows that were funny as hell. But then now he comes out with this new stuff. It's like, we want the old Kevin. Like, where'd the old Kevin go?
Anybody though. Nobody likes the nigga on top.
I mean, I'm not more just talking about when he like being on top and like coming out of it. I'm more talking about like he spoke about certain experiences at one point. It was cool. It was funny. Everyone loved it. He's still doing the same thing, but people don't like it now because it's like, all right, he's not doing it the same way he was before, even though he pretty much is.
Everybody likes the underdog, bro. It's very few people that are respected both at the bottom and the top. Jay-Z is probably one off the top that I probably could say is respected at both. Yeah. He was respected in his early career because of his bars and his lyricism, and now because he's dropping gems. Not too many other people can suffice that same type of energy.
I also think that's like I feel like that's a personal perspective also, because I like Jay-Z's music, but when 444 dropped, how long were people talking about 444?
That was a great album.
Well, how long were people talking?
I love that album.
Well,
it wasn't a radio album, that's why.
I don't think so. I think
it was only on Tidal.
Singles. There was a few singles, and that's about it. I think the reason that people didn't like that album is, or didn't have longevity or whatever with that album, is because he was being a little too vulnerable. We like Drug Dealer JD. We like Hard Knock Life Jay-Z. We don't like a vulnerable Jay-Z. We don't like Jay-Z that collaborates with Jamaican artists and all types of other artists. That's the thing. He was switching it up a little bit too much. But I don't know if you noticed, even after that album, his hype didn't necessarily go down. He was doing collabs with DJ Khaled and all that other stuff, and they were still on top. So, and even if he also went on tour with 444. So, and it was a successful tour. So people wasn't talking about it because it wasn't in like, how do you say, mainstream, but it was still successful.
But I also feel like it's like, I feel like in any industry, there's a certain point that you get to where people respect you beyond their expectation from you. It's like you garnered so much respect from the people that support you that once you release something that's not necessarily what they expected, they appreciate it. And your career won't necessarily be negatively impacted for doing so because of everything that you've released and you've done in your earlier career. This goes back to the point, Sean, that you said about transaction in music. There's like a balance and a really thin line between an artist releasing truly what they want to put out there and what people will accept from them. Because people want to look at artists as if like your first sound is the sound you'll have forever. But artists are people who are continuously evolving, always experimenting, trying out new things, wanting to create sounds and bring their visions to life. And sometimes that means an artist is going to create a sound that you really not messing with. I'm not going to sit here and say that my favorite artists have always released songs that I can bop to. No, sometimes they release the song and I'm like, this is weird. But that's where like the business and the artistry, it starts to collide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A very prime, while we stay on this, and this is probably the last thing, let's Sid has something to say on it. One of my favorite artists. There was a huge transformation from because of the internet to Awaken My Love. Childish Gambino. You go from like out there kind of rap,
like Tyler the Creator,
R&B type, to just a completely different soul kind of album. And like at first you're like, where's the rap? But if you listen to it more and more, you're like, he's rapping in it, but in a different way. But it's like a different sound and energy that's involved to it.
I want to point out that I don't know, I'm no music expert on the books on paper, but I do think rap has a lot to do with lyricism. And I think in the case of Childish Gambino, he took the lyricism and took away the sound and like changed the sound, if you will. So I don't necessarily think it went from rap to soul. I think it went from, it changed the sound. Like the lyricism was always there and was consistent between all of those albums or all of those projects rather. It was content and sound that changed and make it sound like it's a whole different genre. But I think if you type in Childish Gambino, and they would categorize it as R&B because of sound, but I would still consider it a version of rap. Yeah. That's just me though.
What was you saying, Sid? I feel like we need to get in your demographic because it's real quiet.
What is your demographic?
What do you mean what demographic?
He said you need to get in your demographic. I don't know what demographic means. I mean, I know what it means.
You're very quiet over there right now. We talk about all this stuff.
Y'all coming up with some deep thoughts. I mean, I love music. I just don't. I just don't put out the time to appreciate as much as y'all do. And like, I feel like I should. And it's very rare that I do. And it's usually just not planned. It kind of just like happened.
I have
I have
an idea.
What's up?
How about, I feel like we're all Spotify people, right? We all have comments.
Yeah.
So how about we come up with a collaborated playlist and we can all give Sid some homework of music to listen. Because I am fiending to give him some music to listen to. Yeah. And I know Keneal got some. And Sean.
I mean, I'd appreciate it. I kind of listen to the same stuff every day.
I've been telling this man for ages. I'm like, bro, you cannot listen to this shit all the time. Like,
I mean, it's really because like the only times like I do listen to music freely, but it's like the really times I really focus on, well, not focus on the music, or when I really like need to listen to music is if I'm doing something like physical or like when I'm working out. And usually when I'm listening to stuff like that, it's like, you know, hardcore rap
It don't always gotta
or
be.
some like mostly new stuff. So I don't really like explore different. I used to do it more so beforehand, but like I kind of just like if I like it, I like it. It's on repeat until I find a new song. So,
I got you. I got you. I got you. But I got you. First of all, I have a playlist for different vibes. So you give me the vibe, I got a playlist or two for you.
Yo, Chanel is the DJ of the year, man.
Yes,
You need a song, she got it, bro.
no,
That
I've heard
playlist.
I've heard of this.
That is me right there.
I
That
don't even
sample
want to touch
playlist.
that playlist, Sean.
I kind of just
I don't even want to touch it. Like I don't want to add to it because it's just perfect.
But you got two different ones. You got current ones and old ones. But I just be like, listen to this. Like that fits me perfectly because I fuck with the old shit. So it's just like and when it's new stuff and I understand, I notice the sample. I just be like,
I noticed a few too actually. But said that that playlist is a playlist of like current songs. I think it was just from that year actually, and their original sampled predecessors. So they're kind of, you have to listen to it in order, or else you're going to be over.
No, it'd be appreciated. I really the only time I find new music is if I know a new album came out, or if I listen to the music I listen to now, and then it goes to like, you know how Spotify will take you to like that song's like radio, or that song's like similar songs. That's really how I like find new stuff.
I feel like this man's favorite R&B song, which is technically not even an R&B song, is "Summer Rain" by Rick Ross.
That's not my favorite.
He played that religiously. When I say this is the only song I heard this man sing out loud.
Let's not blame him. That's a great song.
That should go. But I'm not saying it's my favorite. I'm not saying it's my favorite joint. It's not my favorite joint, but
he was saying that's the only song I've ever heard this man sing at the top of his lungs, yo.
Well, that I mean, yeah.
She's kind of hyped on that one, yo.
I mean, Rick Ross is one of my favorite artists. So like, that, and then I like at that time I discovered Summer Walker to an extent. So I was like, oh, this shit go. And I was like, okay.
You like that song shit, huh?
No, I do now. I didn't realize it beforehand. Because like I was like kind of avoiding it. Like even be an album and like a soft song come on, I'd be like, get the shit out of here.
He would be mad at me when I would play LMA when we be playing 2K.
That's not the R&B artist you need to start with.
We didn't start there.
No, we didn't start
a whole bunch of random shit, and he'd be like, "Bro, come on! Like, what is with this? Why are we listening to this right now?" I'm like, "Nigga, we don't need to listen to Uzi and all these niggas all the time, yo."
The point we be doing stuff.
It was literally sophomore year. I'm like, bro, Uzi, Yachty, anybody with a little, if it's not Wayne, is not allowed in this room when we listen to music collectively, because he would always play this.
Because I had to speak. Because I had the speaker first until he got the joint he won, and then I'll be playing stuff. He come to the room. He like, yo, nigga, what are you playing right now? Like, turn this shit off. I was like, bro, like, this shit go. He's like, no, it don't. It don't go.
Because Sean definitely had some learning edges to stretch.
Oh, of course. I know.
So we can't be flaming Sid all the time.
But the thing is, though, I always had the old school stuff where the playback shit before and the R&B, whatever. But yeah.
You know Chanel the GOAT because back in college, when people was about to get some ass, they go and be like, "Let me get that playlist."
No, I've heard this.
What do you mean you heard?
Let me get that playlist.
The ecstasy playlist. Yeah.
Oh my God, you don't got to name them. Damn.
I heard this.
Ecstasy is a masterpiece.
I was told this.
Damn.
I just never indulged.
When I left off Apple Music, you know how much hate messages I got Bitch, what the
That's
fuck is
why I
your
never.
profile?
That's why I never asked because I figured it was all on Apple Music. So I was like,
No, I always have both since high
It was
school.
both, yeah.
oh, I didn't know. I thought it was just on Apple
You know,
Music.
I ain't never
I'm
had
an
no Apple
exclusive
Music.
listener and producer.
But what I was gonna say was Chanel mentioned unpopular opinions earlier.
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask if you guys know, so I'm not great with transitions, but I heard what I heard. But I want to ask y'all if y'all got any unpopular opinions in terms of y'all music taste, like whether it's an artist that you're not really quick to say you listen to, or certain genre of music that you probably wouldn't say out loud, whether to close friends or whatever.
Nigga,
But
we're past that point.
I mean, I was wondering, like, I didn't really hear any
I
specific
have.
ones because most of the ones I heard so far was like it wasn't really unpopular. It was like kind of real shit. So I
I
don't
have
think we would. Yeah,
a few, but I'd like to go last.
I feel like Camille got
Camille, would you
some.
like to go?
Mumford and Sons hit.
Oh,
Don't at me. I bump it. That banjo.
oh
It
my
hit.
Nigga,
I
what?
used to
right,
in art
uncle.
class. I used to be in a dark room by myself with my pencil. That banjo.
Wow.
I like Mumford and Sons. I got a few things that I think people would like. I would press skip on, if I had a guest in the vehicle.
True, true. That,
But like that goes back. Like at this point, I don't care. I just don't care
yeah.
anymore.
I feel
Like
it.
shit. That's why I'm like, we passed that point. I said I listened to two very white women, and like Zara Larson is like very white, and you can like I don't that shit just hit me randomly because it was just like niggas was in Old Navy one day, and I heard the song, and I was just like, okay, let me try to listen to it. And then I was just like, wow, like these are some like white girl shore type songs. But I'm like, it's good shit. No, am I going to listen to it? I listened to it in the car with one person, but that was a very person who was close. But like anybody else, if my niggas in the car, I'm not going to listen to it. But like I'll listen to R&B or whatever. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, yo,
I'm
no,
not there.
I'm
I'm
not
not there.
afraid to listen to shit around people because I already listened to it. Queen,
Yeah,
not
I'm
too
not.
many niggas
I
who's
can't.
6'3"
Let
it
me listen
up,
to Queen.
play
Let me
basketball from West Philly, listen to Queen and be like, I fuck with them songs. So yeah, but I would my unpopular opinion though, which I don't like this, just because it involves ethnicity. It's probably not an unpopular opinion. Eminem did not achieve his success the same way Mac Miller did. Not Mac Miller, Macklemore. Macklemore achieved his success based on his skin color, and he had two good songs.
I think everybody
I
agrees.
kind of it was both of them. I feel
Eminem,
like they both achieved based on their skin color.
no,
Ooh, I don't
no,
think so.
no.
Eminem is talented.
Eminem is talented. Think about it this way, and
No,
I
but
had
I
this
understand. No,
conversation.
Eminem is talented, but you don't. Do you feel like it would have been
I'll put
still
it
as
to you
crazy
in
if he
this
was white?
perspective. In a genre that was basically 98% black, he stood out
He was
based
my.
off of his lyricism at that point in the 90s.
Do you think it
That
would have been the
first,
same if he was black though?
It happened.
yes, if
It
he
happened
came with the same thing, yes. Marshall Mathers LP is a weird album, but for you to sit there and that's your first album and we crossed over and fucked with you for that album, and then you got with Dre and made even better albums. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think that's you're white, your shit expands. You have the benefit of being white, and then it can be marketed to these people, and then like all right, the reverse shit of like all right, they think they're black now, or they could be the
Well,
black.
he white and
But
he from
even if,
Detroit, so he basically black. I'm just saying that right now.
but even white people, even like, so if you give Jay-Z, for example, the excuse of like, oh, he's black, he's a great rapper.
Yeah,
Jay-Z is a household name.
exactly.
He's not just known to black people, and the same with Eminem. The only problem with Eminem is that he was so inconsistent. It's hard to keep loving him.
Yeah.
Jay-Z dropped album after album, project after project, like crossover after crossover, and it was consistent. If Eminem was as consistent as Jay, he would be just as good as Jay. Absolutely.
Why is Macklemore's music?
I'm not even sure
because of his but why is it because of his skin though? I'm not saying that Macklemore is the greatest artist or as talented as Eminem in any way, but I also don't think that the songs that he released didn't have, any. Like I said, like Chanel said, like I'm not a music expert, but I'm not gonna take away from what his music contributed.
No, that's not. That's not what I was saying when I was bringing it up. It was more so because I don't think he should have got. I don't think whatever he created that year was better than Good Kid, Mad City. But
that's true.
In the sense of, if you look at Macklemore, he came out probably a year prior to that with Thrift Shop and like 2 other songs, and you didn't really hear nothing else. And then he won a Grammy.
That's
by that point. If you look at Kendrick in comparison, he had Section 8.
Oh, Macklemore. Jeez.
And then Good Kid, Mad City, and I think he had something else as well.
I'm sorry. This whole time I was thinking Mac nowhere.
And then, because I said that.
Don't disrespect Mac like that. If that
we're not disrespecting Mac.
Don't say
That's why I was like, you what?
I corrected myself. I wouldn't disrespect that man like that. But like, it was just the climb was a lot easier, to where as though you have some people who is like, all right, if that first album hit, it hit, and then they either go up beyond that or like the sophomore downfall, whatever you want to say. But it was kind of like he had 2 singles and just skyrocket. But a lot of people like to say Eminem played off that, because if you listen to I forget which song on Forest Hill Drive, J. Cole kind of references it to where he like Eminem, Iggy's there, Eminem and Macklemore. Iggy, it plays well in Iggy and Macklemore, but Eminem, I don't think it played like that, because M had the lyricism, he had the records, and it wasn't like his shit just skyrocketed first album. He was respected, and then it got paid later homage as his career grew, but it wasn't like he just rose to Grammy status off of his first couple of singles. So it's just like, I say that in the unpopularness of just that aspect. People like to say he only has a certain aspect of fame because of his skin color, when it's like, no, he actually has the talent and lyricism to back it up. Not saying that Macklemore didn't, but it was an easier road, so to say.
So, 2 things. I think that people are dragging his award winning Macklemore's that year. I don't know what the fuck was up with that board of nominees, people, pickers, whatever. They were wilding. If he had got that award and had that fame and had been consistent, that would be more impactful. But because the right white man was in the right room during the nomination meeting, that don't really mean much. And I think that needed to happen for us to understand how unimpactful awards are. We were in the moment of like transitioning from watching award shows, loving award shows, to not watching them anymore, and that just solidified the reason. Like that was what. That's why, like, it's not an unpopular opinion because it shouldn't even be an opinion. It's a fact. They were wild. That's it.
I mean, niggas also don't really mess with Kendrick.
Even so, you can look at.
No, I feel like
I feel like a Grammy.
I feel like people who really listen to music know what Kendrick is about, but I feel like when it comes to that voting and like award stuff, they like just kind of put it to the side.
They also, like I said, we were in a transition period of watching award shows and then not watching it, and niggas wasn't watching it. Niggas watched it because he was nominated, and they assumed it was common sense to have him win. That's it. Yeah. No one cared about it. I have a few unpopular opinions, and I have to preface, I haven't told a lot of people this because I'm afraid that it will get me kicked out of the Black community.
That's what I was kind of getting at.
So but basically I told 2 Black people and they also agreed secretly. That opinion is Brown Skin Girl is a terrible song. It's
damn.
It's terribly produced. The lyrics are bad.
Oh my god.
Which song that again?
Beyonce. Brown Skin Girl.
I already want to die. Oh my god.
It's not the one.
terrible song. The girl is cute. That's about it. And we didn't even watch the video. So is she cute? No, she's Beyonce's kid.
I like the whole album though. That is the least favorite song, but I like the whole album.
Exactly. You see, mad black people agree with me. They just are afraid to admit it, and I understand.
Shit.
Terrible song.
Yes.
When I first heard it, I was like, "This is the master." I was like, "This is the version of Spotify." All right.
Dang.
My other one is that I also really this also gonna be her taken away. I really hate Chloe Haley.
Wow.
I know. I don't like
we did have this conversation before. Oh my God.
I don't like oh my God, I want to die when the music comes on.
What, like her singing or just?
Let me tell you.
What's up?
First of all, there's two of them, and there only needs to be one. Which one it is up to the.
They're twins.
They're not twins. They're not twins.
But it's like listening to a small choir, and there's no need. There's just one voice is enough.
What?
And they're so different. There's an alto and a soprano in the same song. That's so unnecessary. And then they decide randomly when to like sing one part and when to sing another. Like for example, Division. There's two people in that pair. You never can even tell because they're the same voice and they're so synchronous. Rather, I'm listening to Chloe Haley and it sounds like two bitches just hollering. And like, it just, I don't know, it's not giving. It's not giving. I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's not giving.
This is where we disagree on this one.
And then on top of that, they want to go, this is already proof to my point. Mm-hmm. When they went separate and one was a mermaid and one was a singer. It was
only because of the movie.
We're not listening to Chloe's covers. Let's just admit it. Nobody clicks on it on Instagram when she posts them. What? They're not good.
I click on them. The Drake show was fire.
Sean, but you clicking on it for the wrong reason.
No. That's what we're not gonna do. I noticed the music before I noticed the beauty.
I'm not.
I noticed the music before I noticed the beauty. Okay,
Sean, I understand, but
I get it.
If she was fully covered in the joints,
forget me.
Cleaning them.
No, forgive me.
Is you clicking on them joints?
Is a great song. And I heard it, and I was just like, this sounds good. And then I was like, you know what? Let me listen to the whole album. One song, I was like, wait a minute. But then I listened to what they were saying. If somebody's speaking about something and it sounds good, all right, cool. Then I went back and listened to the other album, the first album, and I'm like, that's a totally different sound. They do have the choir vibe. I understand that in terms of the voices and stuff. But I feel like their voice does complement one another. It's different.
It's not even different. It's not even different because the Division does the same shit and it sounds 10 times better. Tell me this. Those are Beyonce's main bitches, right? Where's their Beyonce collab? Beyonce found Megan Thee Stallion before she found them two.
No,
that
she found them.
She found them, but where's their collab?
Like, where's the collab? Where's the Beyonce?
Where's the feature?
Beyonce has the same tones as Chloe. And there's no, they might have had 2 meetings together and it shows. I don't like it.
What?
Yeah. There's no work being put in there. There's a lot of potential, but no work.
I ain't gonna say I love them, but I don't hate them. I mean, I have a couple of their songs liked on Spotify. I think they got an interesting sound. But it's interesting to hear that. It's really
they just need time. They just need time.
Time is here. The time is here. They are putting out shit. Yes, it's not hitting the top of your R&B playlist.
No, that's the problem. It is. It's up there. It's on the Spotify playlist. It comes on my suggested things. I listen to everything. I would just rather skip over them.
Damn.
Together
at
the same time. I tried to ask Spotify not to put them back up there.
Wow.
That's tough.
I'm tired of hearing it.
This is crazy, man.
Okay, I have one more because I want you to
give us one more and I have a question for the
because of the beauty, bro.
I understand that, but just think about it. If she was
not just because of the beauty, bro. It's not because of
if she wasn't
it's a plus. It's a plus.
It's a plus, but if she was not as pretty as she was, would you
tell me what R&B chick is not attractive? I'll wait.
That's not what we're arguing here.
No, but you're saying it because of the beauty. But go ahead. Tell me one.
Listen, man. I'm saying this from my experience. I followed her solely for just how she looked. And then I saw the cover. No, but listen, then I saw the covers and I tried to watch it and I couldn't do it. Exactly. I'm sorry.
All right.
I just watched the preview for the sake of
Agree
the
to
aesthetic,
disagree.
and then I moved on.
Agree to
Anyway, I
disagree.
just realized my whole government is on this recorded ass.
Give us your
It's not going to show.
give us your last joint real quick.
My last one is not that controversial, but I do think that Young M.A is a better female rapper than Nicki Minaj.
I actually don't disagree with you at all.
I don't know if I should or shouldn't, to be honest.
You heard what I said, right?
Yeah.
Young M.A is a better female rapper than Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is a better artist than Young M.A.
What's the context? Explain.
I think that Nicki Minaj is personable. The people love her. She got the Harajuku Barbie vibe going.
Not now.
She had the sex appeal. She has the. I'm talking about her like progress.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. She's a good artist. She can collab on R&B songs. She can collab on rap songs. She can collab with Mariah Carey, but also Drake, but also Rick Ross, but also Diddy. Young M.A can't collab with many people. She can. That's her biggest problem. She's not personable. She's not the image of a female rapper that people want to see. People want to see you rap the hard bars, but they also want to see you shake your ass. And hence why that's why Megan is presented the way she's presented, and Big Lotto is presented the way she's presented. Because if otherwise, people won't digest her. People don't digest.
That's also how they are.
Yeah, people won't digest Flo Milli the same way they digest Nicki Minaj, and they have the same quality of rap.
I oddly enjoy some of Flo Milli's songs.
No, yeah, me too. She's a great rapper, great artist, but I'm saying it will take her longer to get to the top.
If I was a rich man. And that point makes a whole lot of sense though. Now that you think about it, most female rappers, quote unquote, whether they rap hard or not, there is the sex appeal.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it digestible. That's what makes it able for people to understand that this is also a rapper, but she's also a female. There's no female rap to an audience. It's a female that raps. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the way most women got away with it back in the day is because they were synonymous with R&B as well. Because if you look at Queen Latifah, if you look at her early shit, she was spitting bars, but it went along to R&B vibe or shit like that.
The sex appeal.
Yeah.
Even MC Lyte, she didn't have the sex appeal right away, but she collaborated with other rap artists and other R&B artists to make it where she was. Like, it's either sex appeal or attached to something that almost has it as well. There has to be some softness of it, or people won't digest it, and that sucks. But yeah, Young M.A is a better artist than Nicki Minaj. I'm surprised they even haven't collaborated. Want to know why? Because Nicki Minaj is moving. She's evolving.
I wouldn't even say she's moving. She's just on her high horse right now.
No,
for a while.
She's moving.
She probably getting back into it, but
there was no inconsistency. She was pregnant and we couldn't even tell.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the huge break between Pink Print and Queen, and then Queen to like now.
But even in that break, look at the collabs that happened.
She had the collabs, but I mean in terms of like her appeal, like she did hold the top spot for a very long time, but to me, I just feel like what fucked her up a little bit was the unnecessary Cardi beef.
And Remy.
Yeah, because it was just like those, y'all can identify in the same lane, because Megan is a clear example of that. She fucks with everybody and makes music with everybody, and it works. But I do agree with you on the concept of they more so tried to put Megan out there sexually than
you don't
lyrically.
Hear Megan rap hard no more. You hear Megan scream like she's not, and that's so sad because her freestyles go hard, her lyrics go hard, her writing goes hard, but that's not what the bitches right now want to hear. They want to see you in college, they want to see you rap, but they also want to see you shake your ass, because unfortunately that's what people want to know, that like it's okay to be multifaceted, it's okay to be whatever, but you're also denouncing that person's authentic self, that foundation of their artistry. But anyway, Sid had a question. I don't want to.
I was gonna try to attempt to transition, but you're talking about a lot of artists. Some of them might have some baggage, some of them might not. But I have the age-old question in terms of music. And I want to gear it towards our gracious guest first. Are y'all able to separate the art from the artist. In terms of controversial, situations of certain artists. And I'm sure you can think of some examples in your head right now. Because you're probably looking at the RRS. If not,
simple.
You want me to go first? I can answer first.
Am I able to separate the art from the artist?
No judgment here. It's a judgment-free zone.
I'm gonna be 100.
Don't be playing everybody for their opinion, so I don't know if it's a judgment-free zone.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say that.
I'll follow up question once he finishes this.
Damn, he didn't explain his point.
No, I want him to explain it first, and I'll ask him the question.
When I listen to music, it's solely, for the most part, me listening to the music. I'm not really thinking about every context and everything that falls behind that, because I really do think that in multiple cases, there are a lot of things we don't know about every artist we do listen to, and I have my own values. I know where I stand, and so when I'm bumping, most of the time I'm just bumping and I'm listening to music. I'm gonna be straightforward and like, you got Tyler the Creator. Someone I said, as an artist, as a music artist, he's like, I really like his sound, but in terms of his, public stance on certain social issues, he hasn't come out and really said much, but he's doing his own thing, and I appreciate him for that. And I'm not really looking to that artist for those resolutions. I'm not really looking to the artist to be some pinnacle figure, per se. I'm kind of just looking to the artist for their production. Can you make music I want to listen to?
Okay. So if you had a, say you're at a little party. No, I know. I just want to ask him first. I'm gonna ask you separately. But say you're out, a little party or the club or something, and you hear Ignition come on. Is you gonna sing? Is you gonna sing along?
I'm gonna say that I don't really bump R. Kelly to begin with. So like, asking me that question is like asking me to choose between, some cake and broccoli. Mess with the cake. So that R. Kelly doesn't really like phase me. And this also, again, this goes back to the fact that, I don't know, I'm really good at, I don't want to say good at, but for me mentally, I separate a lot of things. I'm not gonna say somebody's music doesn't sound good, and also say that makes the music makes the person a good person. No, I can say that sounds good, but you
that nigga is a dickhead.
Yeah, you.
Okay.
As a person, you are like
a dickhead.
A dickhead. Like, you deserve to be put in prison for what you have done.
Okay. Again, there's no judgment here. I just want to hear. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's my personal perspective on it. I know I might get backlash from some people, but I also I feel like socially, I've had a lot of internal conflict, because I feel like there's two things, right? There's an expectation. Everybody wants everybody to be themselves and be free, but sometimes being yourself and being free doesn't align with what ain't good for everyone. And that's not. I'm not saying that is right. I'm saying that is a part of humanity, essentially.
Life. That's just life.
And I'm not trying to make a stance on what I should say should be expected in terms of social standards. It's just, I don't have a lot of anger in me, because I've just been angry at so many things for so long that it's like I can't be angry every time, every day. It's like I know something is wrong. They did something wrong. Punish them for what they have done. But I can't. I just
Yeah, just go throw away everything.
yeah. It's like I recognize that this person has done these indecent things, and I do think that there are things, when somebody does something that can completely write them off totally for people in general. And I'm not gonna be the person that sits here and tries to discuss where that line is.
Mm.
I'm not. I'm not a social scientist. I'm not gonna sit down
Sociologist.
or a sociologist. I'm not gonna sit down in this room and try to, you know, verbalize what's wrong and what's right and where the line should be drawn. I'm not going to do that in this discussion in this room. I feel like that's a very philosophical discussion that will require a room full of people and a lot of notes being taken. But for me, I've always been able to separate things because it's like you got certain people in your life, but you keep certain people at a certain length, regardless of what this association might be. You have an uncle, and you recognize him as your uncle, right? You're not gonna write him off as your uncle. You're not gonna be like, that ain't my uncle. I mean, you could do that, but that's like your personal choice and depends on where you align, where you are mentally, and how you decide to deal with that scenario. Again, a part of allowing everyone to be who they want to be is also allowing everyone to make the choice that's right for them.
Respectful. I appreciate your answer.
I would just say though, just a comment, just a quick comment. I would say that now, and I hate this statement. Basically, is that like, oh, due to social media, shit changes, but the spotlight is bigger, so it does work. It always did work synonymous with who you were as an artist in a way. It just we didn't know all of it because it's like you could look at Michael Jackson and be like, okay, his music is fire. But then you look at the brief scope that we were able to look into. He was like a kid in an adult's body. But then if you look into it even deeper, you understand why. But most people just listen to the music. But I feel like nowadays it all works hand in hand. It always did. It's just now there's more to work with.
Fair. Chanel,
Also,
I'd love to hear your answer.
I
We'll come back to Camille.
Yeah, I agree with Camille. I can definitely separate the artist from the music because the music is the art and the artist is the person. And I think when you start to regard them as one and the same, you disregard so many elements of the music. There's a producer that gets paid. There is a label that gets paid even more. There's a manager that definitely knew about it and allowed it, whatever it was. There is a writer, there are the ghostwriters, there are the fans. That artist wouldn't be an artist without any of those elements. And so when you start to say, okay, I'm not listening to this person's music no more because the Shade Room said they did this, that's not fair. The producer did just as much work on this project to pull through that album that you like so much. The writer did just as much. That's not fair. So, and that is an example of how unfair the structure of the music industry is overall. Drake don't write all his damn songs, but Drake get all the Grammys. It shouldn't be structured that way. It should be producer of the year, writer of the year, and things of that sort. It's not fair that the artist gets all the spotlight, good and bad, when there's so many different elements of it. There's so many different, like there's even a lawyer involved in like what you can issue out on a album. Somebody who determines whether it's an EP or an album or even like, you know what I'm saying, like a project, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different. It's unfair.
People involved do get the Grammy though. It's kind of like a championship.
I mean, but
it's not publicized though.
It's not in
they may have gotten an award, but does Black Twitter know?
Yeah, it's not.
A lot of people hear like producer tags and think that it was just Future saying something nice, and that's literally a producer's tag that Future just got paid to say.
Yeah.
People listen to it, Future says it.
Yeah.
My point is that they don't get the credit they deserve, good or bad. Yeah. And on top of that, people, I think that we, and maybe it's nobody's fault, historically have had a mindset of like the art that the artist makes means that it's connected to them. Because that's what we value and that's what makes sense. But that's not always what it is. Rick Ross makes music about killing niggas and flipping bricks and shit, and that nigga does not do that. All
Yeah,
wings.
that
So
nigga be at Wingstop.
right. The art is not always equal the artist, even in content. So why in character?
Yeah,
It's not the
that's
same thing. It's not fair. So I think in our heads it's like, oh, this person's like always thinks about being sad. They must be like so emotionally distraught and so isolated and so sad. They're the toxic one.
mm,
Imagine. Unpopular
mm,
opinion. Kehlani is the toxic one. But anyway, the point is it's unfair and
I agree.
naive almost to put the artist and the artistry together.
okay.
So, like, I was gonna say, like, to an extent, I do think that the artist and the artistry connect, because like the artist produces the art, and you gotta, like, to an extent, I would say that the artist would always recognize themselves when, you know, they say that is my body of work. But to your point, there's so much more that goes into it. But I also think that there are a lot of social issues and cultural issues that exist and that are popularized in music all the time, but we don't say anything about any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Let it
because the
slide.
social standard is to accept those negative attributes, oh, we can bump that. Like you like all the music, honestly, about like that sexualizes women. We admit that we need to sexualize women less. However, a song comes on, a woman got that ass here, you're bad. You're like, come on, like everybody bumping that. We all rocking
That
our
shit
heads.
go though.
Like,
No,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
go,
Well,
right?
it go, but it's still the point is still there.
No,
We
I'm
can't
fucking with
misalign. We can't
it.
misalign some things that we think. For example, I was listening to a podcast on like music and culture the other day, and Yo Gotti was on it talking about how he put out a lawsuit to sue the Mississippi penitentiary system basically for having black mold in prisoners' food. Now, everybody don't listen to Yo Gotti's album, but if that were true, if the artist and the music go together, niggas should be bumping Yo Gotti. He's doing some good shit out there, black man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if we are gonna choose one side and be with it heavy, we need to be with the other side too. That's it.
Okay, that's very valid.
I don't know. I'm in between y'all. Like I'm in between, with y'all kind of like pushing me to a side. But it's like I don't.
I respect both their opinions.
Yeah, morally, I'm kind of like, all right, that's fucked up. But to be honest, the name that is on the ROS, I didn't really listen to Tory like that much before, so it doesn't affect me much either way.
I did, and I kind of stopped after that whole thing with Megan.
And then like
And
R. Kelly, I'm not going to personally turn it on. If it's on, I'm not going to necessarily turn it off. But to Keneal's point, there's a lot of other degrading shit in music, and we
niggas
still
listen to
bump it
and then,
today. Even the whole thing to where they like niggas will look back at Juice World and be like, ah, that was sad. And in reality, he had sad aspects about his music, but the way he died was very unavoidable. It was very avoidable because you walk into an airport, you have a sufficient amount of drugs, and instead of throwing them out, you chose to ingest all of them. You made that choice. Not saying it is okay, not saying it isn't sad, not saying that because he does admit to like he drank lean and all that drugs and shit because he heard it. That is another dark side effect of music. But when that death came about, I'm not saying that I didn't listen to him like that, so it didn't hit me as hard. But when I heard what happened, I'm kind of like,
another black man down.
I was like, yes, another black man down, but I'm just like that. You didn't have to go out that way, and it just goes like he said again. It's a lot of shit that goes hand in hand with music. If you listen to Mac Miller, his music evolved, but in a weird way, and Chanel, you could probably attest to this. In a weird way, the end to all of his overdose and stuff it was sad to see, but you saw what was coming.
Exactly. That's why I say people choose what to align, like where to align the artist in the music and where not to. And it's ridiculous because we penalize them as if we're on some higher moral ground.
Mm.
Like even like with Tory Lanez and stuff, for example, like in that situation, it seems very black and white. Like
Yeah.
you did it, we seen you do it on the like you did it for sure. But at the same time, I take that more as like you're a dumb artist. Like you're on top right now and you did that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Rather than like I don't like,
Scrapping them in general.
niggas go to jail every day. Like niggas did
Yeah.
like DMX did drugs. Jay-Z killed like his cousin or some shit. Like people could very well pick and choose what situations where to apply those things. But
Yeah.
I see that as like a dumbass mistake and you're a dumb artist because you fumbled the bag. Like you're a terrible businessman, not necessarily a terrible artist. And as a result of that, I don't listen to his music as much. Because now I don't respect you. At first, I gave Tory the utmost respect. Who else could, like, with the death of the remix, who else could bring about an album full of remixes and have it like go hard? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you did that then, and that makes you a dumb person, a bad artist, and a terrible businessman. That means you don't even care about the bag because you're taking it for granted, not necessarily as like, damn, you're a fucked up person. I'm not going to see your song. I just don't want to anymore. You made me uninterested. And the same with R. Kelly. Great music, but now I'm uninterested.
Yeah, because it's no way. It's to people want to act like shit just happened. My nigga was doing this for years, and you hear it in the music.
Mhm.
I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. Age ain't nothing but a number.
Trapped in the closet.
It's
Wasn't
all
he
there.
dating, Aaliyah
Trapped
or
in the
something like
closet.
that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Was
he
she
was
a
dating a
lesbian?
They knew she was underage, but they claimed they ran away and got married. No, you knew your daughter, and this is very synonymous with child stars or child artists or whatever in the game. When the parents see that bag, they'll let shit slide. Drew Barrymore was on drugs at age what?
Like 8 or some shit.
8 or some shit?
Doing coke at like age 8. Like they do that shit all the time. And I don't know when. I think maybe it's social media, like you said, Sean. But people like pick and choose when they want to care. And for that, like you're also a terrible consumer. Like because now you're making somebody else dictate what you listen to and what you put your money at, the one that you work for anyway.
Yeah.
Oh shit, she just went crazy.
Yeah, I feel like people like take those like public moments when they're like not bumping art because everyone wants to be socially aligned what is considered to be right or wrong at that time, and no one wants to be on the outside of that scenario because now I'm not woke enough. It's like if you don't make a public stance and align with that public stance, all of a sudden your entire value system is up to be judged by everyone.
Yep.
As if because you bumped one R. Kelly song, like say for instance you listen to She Got That Vibe by R. Kelly, which is a good song.
Great song.
And all of a sudden you bump She Got That Vibe, and so now you support molesting underage women.
Yeah.
I just like the song She Got That Vibe. Where is that coming from in that specific, especially if the person doesn't even know who R. Kelly is and they heard the song.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but then on the flip side of things, there is existence of willful ignorance, and where you choose not to educate yourself or recognize certain parts, and you still consume and almost blindly become a fan, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I sat here and Bill was like, "Yeah, no, Tory did not shoot Meg," like that would be mad crazy.
No, that's wild. That's where the line. That's where the joint is. It's just like you're doing too much now.
Like if you understand what's going on and accept it, then it's like, all right, I'm still accepting the fact that I'm listening. But it's like, yes, that still was fucked up. Just like sometimes I would struggle with Michael just listening to that. As a kid, I didn't know all that shit. Till this day, them stories is kind of weird, but you can listen to Michael's catalog and be fine and not even think about that shit. But I think today the problem is, and I blame this somewhat on our generation and the generation after us, is that people, I would say we're okay because we have some uniqueness, but the generations after us, they're all puppets. and this is weird, and I'm sorry to say this to those who identify in that generation, but it's like you hear one thing, you go with that instead of understanding what it actually is. And then as soon as that one thing that you now hated, a particular person can endorse that, and then now you're back on it. So it's like your hate or canceling was never justified. Not to say that people shouldn't necessarily be canceled for certain shit. However, you have to understand that in life,
Some people drag it.
people make mistakes. Under if you're when it comes to racial, that's I think that's it's not as it's hit or miss, because if you're doing continuous shit, then it's like, all right, maybe you do need to be canceled. If you went to a certain point, maybe you do. But if it's something to where like, all right, you look at an old tweet or you look at stuff like that, or something that wasn't as glorified in the past, everybody was doing it. You can't sit here and think that you were a better person because all right, now you've evolved, but back in the day you didn't do it. Prime example, I don't know about y'all, but I know in my time as a black young man, when it came to just regular jargon and talk, we said gay all the time. Oh, if something was bad or something was shitty, instead of using the word shitty or bad, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's gay.
Yeah,
But
niggas
then
went to
like
all
now you
boys
look
school,
back on
bro.
that, and you like, oh, like that's fucked up. You shouldn't say
Yeah,
that. Such should be canceled. But you was in the schoolyard saying it.
Yeah, and
So
it that really sucks because whether it be the Tory Lane situation to the Michael Jackson situation to like that's gay, all of those are attached to real people and real experiences. So if you accepted it then and you don't accept it now, but in both times people are affected. And I think that's
yeah,
what we need to remember. At the end of the day,
yeah,
regardless of who is in the spotlight that has to do with it right now, somebody who's not in the spotlight had to deal with it. And that's where we lack. Like that's where we lack the
yeah.
understanding,
And it's like
thinking
yeah.
that like
people.
Michael Jackson was the first nigga to touch kids and Tory Lanez was the first rap star to shoot a bitch. Like I'm sure, like I if somebody came out and told me right now that Biggie shot Lil Kim in the leg one day, I believe it.
Mm.
I believe it. The problem is that people think that Tory Lanez is the only rap person or a
Yeah, it's
rapper
a lot of
to
shit
shoot
that
a
we
woman.
don't know
That's it.
about. Niggas don't know about Jay-Z first child.
One
Exactly. Like,
one
or
counterpoint.
how much he didn't love that his mom was lesbian when she first came out. Like she wasn't his big supporter.
True.
But now the LGBTQ plus community would say, I'm not gonna speak for them because I'm not part of the community, but like I'm sure some people would say that he's an ally.
Like
Mm.
I'd say like a counterpoint to the argument, because I've had this discussion before, and I think it's a valid point. Like what Chanel said before, willful ignorance. One, you do have to acknowledge when an artist has done something wrong. You can't say because I listen to his music like that's all right. You have to acknowledge when something is wrong. But also, a point that one of my friends made when we were having a discussion is that in order to bring that person down, because they're on a platform where a lot of the times it seems as if they can't be touched. So you have money, you have fame, you're up there, and sometimes it seems like no matter how much wrong people at that point in their life do, they can't be touched. And a way to bring them down or make them align with social standards and what we expect as people as a community to be right is to take that wealth away from them, because people truly are the driving force behind their wealth. So if we continue to support, it's not necessarily that the music isn't good. It's just that now there's that counterpart that if we continue to support, they continue to be paid and they continue to
Correct.
move freely amongst us and do as they choose. So I'm not gonna say that like the answers that are being given in no way say exhibit like one side hard line, draw the line. That's my opinion. It's more like I feel like everyone is also constantly having an internal battle in regards to, I guess, this point.
Very
It's
subjective.
yeah. It's like it's a difficult question to like just give one straightforward answer to, especially depending on what happened and
Mhm.
other social factors. And I'm not going to tell somebody what to believe. I'm just
Yeah,
not going to. I'm going to say what I believe. But there is also the side of it that we also can't ignore the fact that us continuing to support them could also work against us trying to stop them.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because a singer today could be a writer tomorrow, could be a producer next week, could
Mhm.
be of influence somewhere else. So, and it's such a entangled system that it works for and against us. Because as much as we might say like, oh my God, we're not listening to Tory Lane, like whatever, whatever, he could fuck around and write the next rap bitch's next song, and we wouldn't even know because we don't value that because we're just taking what's given to us because it's consumerism.
And there's always going to be that group of people who's going to listen,
Absolutely.
regardless.
Even if
So,
it's his niggas, it's
e-
people that are paying for Spotify where their 5 cents are going somewhere that goes right into his pocket.
exactly. So
Mm.
it truly doesn't matter. You can when it comes. I feel like you can cancel certain people completely when it comes to some shit, but with shit like that, there's always going to be that nigga that like, all right, I still fuck with Tory before
Yeah.
that, or I fuck with R. Kelly after that, or I'm a low key, I'm just listening in silence or whatever. So, or you got them trolls that is just like, I'm listening to it, the shit just cause.
It really doesn't matter whether or not other people are gonna. Again, it really doesn't matter whether or not someone else is not gonna listen. I really think that
Yeah.
sometimes it does come from like the social point that it's about not necessarily about what we are doing collectively. I think that yes, someone else will listen to the music, but it's more about what are you gonna do about it? Because that's the
Mm.
only the really thing that you can truly impact and make a decisive decision on. You have to make a decision independently, and you share that information with other people. You share your reasoning with other people, and if it makes a movement and it changes other people's minds and helps to de-escalate or take some of that revenue away from that artist, which will impact their platform and make it harder for them to do whatever they're doing. It does help, but the only thing you can control is yourself, and you really just have to make it in that instance about yourself. You can't make it about the public and
Yeah.
everyone. You can't move everyone. You
Make your own
can't make
decisions.
everybody make the same decision as you, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
own
have to
principle.
make a decision that you can trust yourself with and
And be
be
comfortable with it.
grateful, be comfortable.
At the end of the
Mm.
day, it's really only your dollar. But
Yeah.
one more thing I want people to consider too is I think social justice issues or even moral value issues have a way of somehow putting responsibility on the individual when we're literally a collectivism society. So even if I choose not to listen to Tory Lanez, there's still a producer who knows what he did, sees what he did, left it on red, and still produced his album and let it drop. So there needs to be no pressure on me, you, him, her. It needs to be pressures on the label. It needs to be pressures on the managers. It needs to be pressures on the systems that support that artist and what they do. You like nobody even know who R. Kelly's lawyer was. That's crazy. Because if I was a person who needed a lawyer, I'd be like, let me make sure not to get that nigga because I don't care about him. Not listen to fucking bump and grind. He already got his royalties. His kids already got his royalties. Nobody gives a fuck about that. I want to make sure that I'm not supporting the morality of whether or not he fucking touches children or whatever the fuck they say he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's too much pressure on the individual in a collectivism society. That is the problem too. My
Yeah.
dollar is still being taken in one way or another. Spotify still gonna take my money, whether or not I listen to Tory Lanez. So stop talking to me about who not to listen to. Talk to the niggas that make the music. That's that on that.
Very good.
X.
I didn't, I appreciate both of your opinions. I didn't think it would, get this deep,
We
but
passionate over here. This is
but
the point of the
it's needed.
platform.
It's needed. It opened my eyes about a lot of things. But
Project reviews.
that what?
Go ahead. No
You
more.
said?
Go ahead.
Can we talk about the projects now?
Yes, that's what I was going to get to. Thank you, Chanel. As long as that
Fuck
took,
you.
but it was needed. It was needed. We're gonna get into some on a more positive note. We're gonna get into some projects that we all appreciated. We all appreciated that came out recently. I'm already talking, so I'm gonna just go first. Um, the very anticipated the off season
Was it?
by yes, it was very anticipated. Once you dropped the interlude beforehand, it was very anticipated.
I haven't finished it yet.
Ah, this nigga.
No personal reason. I just haven't finished it yet.
The All Season by J. Cole. Loved it. We're all gonna answer the same questions basically, but I really liked it. Granted, yes, J. Cole is one of my favorite artists, but I don't really like plan. I don't really like. I'm not gonna say I don't look forward to him dropping. I just don't like keep it in my head. It's just like, all right, he say he dropping, he dropped. All right, cool. My fave like track or song on the album, Applying Pressure. The shorter song, but I just feel like towards the end when he's talking, it's like a lot of real shit. He's just basically just being like, yo, like sometimes you just gotta do some shit and make it known that you the only nigga who gonna do this. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like I get where he's coming from, especially from his background. But like I feel like it's very relatable to a lot of people based on whatever you want to do. If you have some type of goal in life, I feel like it relates to you in some type of way and gets you motivated. Um, Most underrated track. I feel like none of them are really that overrated. I feel like they're all pretty on the same.
Underrated, not over.
Oh, underrated. Oh shit, I read that wrong. Um, I couldn't tell you. I guess the climb back. I feel like a lot of people messed with like certain song. I feel like a lot of people really rock because when I like on social media when it dropped, a lot of people was really just reacting to the song with Lil Baby, like when he like transitioned in like very smoothly, and then it's just really just became all about that because I mean Lil Baby is a good artist and like he's one of the more up and coming artists.
Is he top 3?
He's not top. I don't think he's top 3, but I think he has some great songs that you really can't argue.
I don't think he's top anything,
but all right, we're not gonna get into you right now.
Back to the album.
But I think like the focus, which I understood, but I didn't like, was a lot on that Little Baby song. And granted, the transition of him coming in was really well put, and like he did his thing on that feature. But I feel like it kind of took away from like the real shit that J. Cole was talking about. So I feel like the climb back is, I feel like a lot of real J. Cole listeners respect that song, but I feel like a lot of people who just be listening don't respect that song enough. So I feel like that's an underrated track. I don't really have any whys on here because I feel like all of it should be on here. I mean, the Little Baby thing, I kind of was not confused about, but I was just like, because he like J. Cole's a person who don't really have that many features. Granted, that was the old Jay-Z, but like he's kind of done more so now as he's gone more. I don't want to say gone more modern, but like the more recent stuff he's dropped, he's had more features. But I don't really think anything on that album was like, oh, why does it gotta be here? And granted, I talked highly about this album, but in terms of the number rating based on his other stuff, I don't. This is probably last, and it's a good last. And the thing is, it's a good last. It's like if you wanted something to be last in your discography, I wouldn't mind it being this because like it's not better than Forest Hills Drive. It's not better than Sideline Story. It's not better than most of the shit.
Artists like this though, you can't compare.
I mean, you want to say that, but you can at the end of the day. You really can at the end of the day.
It's hard to say an album sucks without comparing these days.
Exactly. So it's like, and granted, this album does not suck. Like I don't think it sucks in any right. But it's like, if you look at his other stuff, especially his beginning stuff, you can't really put this past any of it, to be honest. Granted, I also didn't like how, I feel like this was kind of shorter. I don't know why it felt shorter to me, this album, than his other albums. Or maybe it just was less songs, but kind of wish it was a little longer because I feel like he had more to say. But yeah, I feel like I feel like I put this last of all the other stuff. Granted, I haven't heard all the other stuff in a little bit. Like For Your Eyes Only, I haven't heard in a little bit. But like I've obviously listened to Forest Hills Drives all the time, and I've listened to Silent Story like a lot recently. But I don't think
selling dope.
Yeah, I don't think this surpasses those as good as it is. So I'd probably put it, last of all of them.
Honestly, if it was up to me, I'd request a meeting with every artist after every album that is a gray area. Because I think all of the comments that you just said and even the popular opinions about the album was on purpose. Like it's called the off season. I feel like he wrote all these songs. There was nothing cohesive. Nobody thought the album was cohesive.
Yeah.
It's like songs that he made. He went off and he edited and added artists to make an album because he owed us an album.
Yeah.
I don't meant to drop a gem as he did with Forest Hills Drive. That felt very
that was very purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it's not his fault. I think it was on purpose. I think that Joe Cole doesn't care for the validation no more. He don't even go to the award shows no more. He makes music to keep the money rolling, to keep the attention, and keep his fans happy. If for a profit or whatever it may be, it would sound very much like Forest Hill Drive or whatever it may be. So I think that it was A+ for him.
No, yeah, for him it's great, and for anyone else it's fucking stellar. But
if you're looking for a Grammy, you're not gonna get it.
No, yeah. But if you want to just bump to something new, I think this is the one.
Right.
I mess with it. Yeah, I rock with it. Keneal.
Kind of spoke on this earlier, but
my favorite artists, like since I was a kid. By kid I mean like J. Cole. Like since I was like 15, I remember like bumping his music on YouTube, just like randomly coming across like sideline stories, stuff like that, or the warm up.
Amazing.
And like from there, like I really just fell in love with his music, and I don't think that this album didn't hit in terms of like it being a banger. I think it more hit like philosophically. Like J. Cole has changed. You can hear in his discography that he's gone through a lot mentally in the past few years or the past few album drops, and he's completely realigned in terms of his value structure. And I think I'm more appreciative of that. Like not even talking about him being the greatest of his time, because the idea of someone being the greatest, I really think is subjective, because someone being called the greatest is, if you look at it, I guess, generally, it's people giving, like Chanel said, everything is a collective. As a society, people giving fame or admiration to that person brings them to be great. But in his album, it's like him calling himself the greatest doesn't really have to do with the admiration that he's getting from people. It's more of like a value and a worth he's pulling from his own intrinsic definition. Like he's giving himself the value, and he really talks about like stepping away from everything and taking time to yourself and really thinking about everything and where you are and who you are, and really finding yourself in the midst of all the chaos. And that's what I appreciate about the album and his music, more so than any banger he could ever release. It's just he's talking about something, really focusing on your craft. Like, you really want to do something. What are you doing in order to make that a reality? Like, you going out to the club, like the little video he released along with the album that came out on YouTube, like, what are you doing to bring yourself where you want to be?
So I want to make a comment on that rhetoric about J. Cole. I think that what works as his disadvantage is that is always his tone. Very, what are you doing? Very judgmental, very outward, like you have a responsibility and you're not doing it. How do you show up? And there's very little music of him being vulnerable, and that's what makes him lose artists. Like he wants to sound like the grandfather of rap, the all-knowing, the wise man, the you know what I'm saying? Like very superior. And he doesn't mean to give off that vibe. He doesn't. I think that he's been overlooked so long from his point of view that he feels like he needs to do that without being complacent to everybody else. And that makes him lose his fans. There's people that love the warm up, that love Young Simba, that love Sideline Story because it was a sideline story, but all of a sudden you're the coach.
Mm.
All of a sudden, Lil Yachty's not a good rapper because his name started with Lil. All of a sudden, those people contribute.
No, but he was coming at Lil Pump though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like that. That's just his. I know he was talking about Lil Yachty, but that's just his rhetoric. It almost seems judgmental. And that's what loses his fans. And that's why you can't, it's almost risky to drop an album like this because we already feel like we can't also listen to Meg Thee Stallion and listen to J. Cole. But then you drop an iffy album. Like, you know, he gets deeper and deeper. And I think it would be of value at a different time, even more than it already is now. But that's what works to his disadvantage. Like, you can't drop things like that all the time, especially in such an era of the cancel culture. People gonna find a reason to cancel you, and it sucks. Like they shouldn't, because he's still a great rapper. His content is still amazing, but that's a risk, and it shows me that he doesn't give a fuck, and I like that about him. That means you really about the music. But what's gonna pay your bills?
I don't get that vibe when I listen to his music. Like I don't get that he's trying to come off as like. I understand that like you made a lot of valid points. Like he tried to get where he is for so long, and I feel like he's constantly he's reaffirming that position and reaffirming like what he had to do in order to make it where he is. But when I listen to it, I guess I'm not really listening to him grandfathering me. It's like to me it's more of a like I hear what it probably will take him. It causes me to reflect. It's more of like a reflective thing, and he's reflecting on his life, and which causes me to reflect on my own. And I really do. Once he makes his statements, and I'm really listening to the song, I get into it. I do personally take a look at what I'm doing and where I want to be, and it causes reflection for me. I don't feel like I'm being grandfathered.
No, for sure. Yeah, 100. That's the purpose. I don't think he hopes to do that to niggas. But in an era of like, there's an album dropping next Friday that tells me I'm the shit. Why would I listen to yours this week? That tells me that I'm not, because I don't fight for things on the street like you, or because I don't use my money like you, or because I smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, unfortunately, we're in an era of music where it's very transactional. You get niggas or not. And unfortunately, that's how it went with Cole with me. I listened to that album, and the first song didn't sound like what I expected it to sound like. So it took me a couple of days to get back into it. Like somebody had to like post a snippet on a TikTok for me to be like, oh, that's a hard verse. Let me re-listen to this album. And now everyone's going to be as open as me. And I consider myself open. So can you imagine how much of like he would have 10 times more fans? And I feel like Kendrick was kind of going down that path as well. But he maintained his artistry and his popularity very well, even without dropping music. So he could very well be on the same level or the same acceptance level as Kendrick, but he continues to be even on the Kids on Drugs album, great album. But why did you have to flame niggas at the end? The whole album you're talking about being vulnerable, having mental health issues, doing drugs, realizing that drugs are bad. And at the end, you're talking about niggas that take Xannies. I don't understand. It's very contradicting. That's his only disadvantage. And I don't mind. Like, I know I'm smart enough to be able to separate the two, but for some niggas that are looking for a quick drop, like you and me could be reflective on it and kind of feed into it. And like you said, we have to get into it, but niggas are not going to try to do that. Like if Sean wasn't like a rap fan, he wouldn't get deep into that album to like massage into it and realize it's a good. Yeah.
It's not an album you listen to because you looking for a banger. Like I think people have been saying this since back in high school, man. It's like you don't listen to Cole's music because you're looking for a banger. Cole can give you bangers. He's clearly shown us multiple times that he can come on a track be the feature, and people only want to listen to his part of the song. He's shown us multiple times.
Sure. Party, workout. What else? I don't even know, but he can.
That track he did with Boss, like
Hmm?
that track he did with Boss, the track he did with
Oh
21
yeah,
Savage.
every single song he does with Boz, I don't Boz should stop putting him on songs. It's embarrassing. Every single song, he's like, okay, he's the better rapper.
It's like, but you when Cole drops an album, he's not dropping it for it to be a bop. It's about his artistry. It's about the message he wants to give. Like even like what's that? For Your Eyes Only. I didn't see the value of that album immediately, but then I went back and I listened to some of the stuff and I was like, he not trying to make a bop. He really out here talking.
Yeah,
He's talking.
It was a story.
poetry for sure. And
Um,
we don't do that these days, but yeah.
Chanel, what is your selective album? And
I think it's kind of an old one because we're in July of 2021. But I really love Made in Legos by Wizkid. Amazing project. I think he always does his fucking thing. Period. He gets the assignment and he does it. He gets an A. He just keeps moving on to the next one. He's not a person like I feel like on this album he had quite a lot of features, but he doesn't need it. His first album, on the other side, on the other side, he only had like one Drake feature, which was like the song of the summer in like 2016 or something like that, or 2015. But this album, he had many features, and it didn't even feel like there was much of a difference between those two albums. And this is how I know this is a good album. That song dropped 2020. It is July of 2021, and Essence is the song of the summer. Unfortunately, I'm so mad that he's the one who like theoretically some people could argue put Thames on the map, but Thames is an amazing artist that she's been on, but that was a big bag for her because everybody would listen to Wizkid and because everybody was onto this album. Hers on that album. Who else? Damian Marley's on this album. Thames on this album. I don't even know. I gotta look. But he went in, did his fucking thing, and it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be sad. I'm sick of albums, R&B albums, being like, "Oh my God, I'm so distraught. He hurt me. She hurt me. She's gone." Da da da. Or R&B and rap, a weird mix of R&B and rap these days. I don't like that. I like that it's consistently like it's happy. This album feels like the sun. Like it feels like you're outside. You're not even on the beach. Your feet not even hot. You're just you're absorbing all the vitamin D. It feels like the sun. And even like the artwork of him just like sitting there going like this, beautiful. His skin is glistening. But yeah. Very much not a rap album, but I'm gonna
Kenil, did you want to talk about Tyler's album again?
I mean, I can speak on it. That's what I'm listening to right now. That's like my album of choice. Call Me If You Get Lost. Again, this is not even really just about the album that dropped. It's more about how excited I am for his development. Every time I listen to from Flower Boy, that's the Bumblebee album, from his album Cherry Bomb, which was like really aggressive, to Flower Boy, to Igor, to Call Me If You Get. Every single time I listen to a new album, it gets me more invested in who he is in general. And he says some wild stuff sometimes, but I'm just like, again, I can call out when he says wild things, but at the same time, it's like, I just appreciate him for being just Tyler. He's just being Tyler and doing exactly that in this. Like, there's an appreciation I have for when somebody can be themselves and really release work that is reflecting them. And I don't know how else to phrase it. It's just, and let's be quite frank, it bops. To me, it bops. It bops. He got me. I'm listening to it. He can be hard as a rock and then sing some soft stuff, and I'm listening to the both of them on the same album, and I like it. Like I
Yeah.
told you, there's a from like the second song on the album, which is Corso, straight down, man. I even pull up the album, like straight down to like probably Massa or Hot Wind Blows. Like I'm listening to all of this, and he is really just telling his own thing. And then I watched a few videos about how he develops his albums and his music videos, which are all just like really weird, quirky
And there's
stuff. And
no drugs involved, to our knowledge. That's what I love. There's no. He's just really just sitting there bopping.
he
So
doesn't smoke or drink. It's like
Tyler gives me the same vibes as Amine. Absolutely. Amina is very talented and very himself. Even like I saw a Twitter post of him today. He put a picture up at an awards show, and he looked so like good and well put together. And he was like, "Guess how high I am?" I was like, "Yes, like absolutely. We don't know you're high, but thank you for telling us because you don't give a shit, and that's your brand. That's your brand, being yourself." So I appreciate it about Tyler too.
a lot of neo artists in general. I feel like they're just. This is what I. This is like why I like where the direction that music is moving in. Kind of, it's really giving artists the platform to freely express themselves and not feel like they have to associate with a specific identity. Like the internet can be the internet. Smino can be Smino. Hope Tala can be Hope Tala. Like all these artists are releasing music all over the world, and it's reflecting them. Umi can be Umi. What's that? Is it Snow Allegra?
Oh, love her. Oh, let's talk about her real quick.
Herself.
Anybody listen to her album yet? I'm only on.
No, I didn't listen to the album yet, but I'm sorry to cut you off. But Sid is just the fact that he cannot interject in any part of the conversation is
Wait.
hilarious, and his face.
We'll give him a break. I told you, your playlist is coming, bro.
You need a bump, bro.
Yeah, bro. You need to like vibe. You need to just vibe. That same
You're on mute, bro.
environment that you got right now, the fucking Beats headphones and the
What did Sean just say?
I said I literally was cracking it up the entire time because you just sitting there and can't interject on the conversation whatsoever, and your face is just like. But
I don't know these
yeah.
niggas. I mean, I know some of them I know, but I don't know their music.
I
So
bet
it's
you
like,
listen to Igor, but
I listened to some of it. I didn't finish it though. That's the only thing.
I haven't listened to Snow's new album yet.
Snow is like I just have to give her applause and her flowers because it's not many R&B artists that can work with Pharrell, who makes very eclectic, beat heavy music, and her voice is so smooth. Her voice sounds like peanut butter, and she's like smooth, creamy peanut butter, and he's like very like crunchy peanut butter, and it just works. It's not too much peanut butter. It's just amazing. Like
He did the whole album?
That's
Yeah.
mad peanut butter.
Neptunes did the whole album. You could hear it because remember we talked about Neptune's style of like doing the 4 beats and
Yeah,
and then ending on like 2. Every single song you hear that, and every single song she hits it so smooth. There's no awkwardness of like, is this a hip hop song? Like, and I'm gonna look it up, but I really don't think he's ever or his group has ever produced R&B album.
Very eye-opening episode for me. Learning a lot of new artists.
I feel like Sid, you also gotta appreciate your perspective, man. You can't keep like I don't want to downplay it because like at the same time like some people just haven't like found that time and that place to really. Well, I'm like I didn't always know all these artists, and I'm not an expert in music. I just pop on Spotify a lot, and I just stumble across people, and I really got into music like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I just started to listen to a lot, and you just gotta go at your own pace, and like we can give you homework, but at the same time you gotta find your own sound and what you like. If you like Red Hot Chili Peppers, bro, rock that Red Hot Chili.
I think that you're right. I agree, but I do think that people should
just be more open. Just be more open to listen to new stuff.
Continuously open and close your doors all the time.
Yeah.
An artist I recently discovered was Rye the Scientist. I don't know if y'all listen to her, but she's so good. And I don't even know her like that, but I believe that she is reading her diary. She gives me big Summer Walker vibes, not necessarily by music, but by content. Like I
Mm,
know what she's thinking about, she went through, and that's mad crazy that you could
mm.
translate all of that shit.
Storytelling.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Like it's such good artistry. But I wouldn't have, even though I'd listened to a lot of artists like Mariah the Scientist, I didn't find her until recently. And I listened to all her albums and I was like, yo, I don't know who her management team is, but they need to set their game up or else they fumble in every bag with every album.
Yeah. Some artists could low key be doing as well as other people. Just it's just not as publicized or making the same amount of money. Or it's just a matter of who's in the spotlight and who the media decides to make now.
Like
But
like Justine Skye is an indie artist and I think she's a great artist, but because she's not signed to any one label, don't nobody want to listen to her. There's no promotion. It's just her and
yeah,
Timbaland on the last album promoting it. Like every a tweet here and there or like a play on an Instagram post here and there. And if you don't follow Justine Skye, you wouldn't get her music. And unfortunately, there's a lot of artists.
yeah. Well, I'll go last in this one since I had two, but try not to be too long winded. Basically, I chose for those of you. As I said early on in the episode, I've basically been in R&B for this past year with a little mixture of rap, and then I drift back into my normal shit, old shit, whatever. But two of my very well liked artists came out with albums recently. Plant Her by Doja Cat and Back on My Mind by her. Two, one is they're both great artists and they know how to cater to their market and they are good at what they do. Why I personally enjoy both of these projects simply because they touched on a lot of things that one I'm personally going through right now, and also just
Oh,
they're they're creating music that is both in depth, interesting, and still can be a bop. As like some people, as like we've been talking about this episode, to where it's like you could say certain things about people or whatever, but to me, it just that's just I identified with it. Doja more so because she can rap, she can be playful, witty, weird a little bit.
Sexy for sure.
Yes, and it's the full package or whatever when it comes to it. Like you could take her song. There are serious songs in the album, and there are definitely goofy songs in the album to where like, bro, what are you talking about? Or like, huh? But like you could still listen to it. Like, I catch myself songs that I would be like at first or second or third listen, you're kind of just like, why is this on the album? But then you catch yourself humming it or like, oh, this is the shit or whatever. And like with her, I just enjoy it simply because she talks about a lot of in-depth details. And the weird thing about it is you would think that her is like in her 30s, but literally me and her are a few months apart. Like she's 24, I'm 23. So it's like you look at her first album and you're like, you did that when you were what, 20?
Yes.
Then you're just like, damn. And now you still kind of like she appears to be like 30 or so, but then it's like, no, she made all of this at such a young age, and it just shows her range and what she's able to do with music and the sound and storytelling, and just her features are good too. So I love both of them for different reasons, but all the artists that I do enjoy and that I say are my favorites, they are able to get me deeply involved with their music and tell a story to some degree. And I would say that the reason why it connected to me so personally for both of them is because Doja's album is personable to the sense where she's just explaining herself in terms of like, I guess, recent fucked up situations, but also she's just fun. And it's just like, hey, these are my songs. Her more so is she's telling a story, but she's also saying that throughout her life, when it came to the relationship dynamic, these are the things that I've both put on people and people have put on me.
Yeah.
And it's it's wonderful because you self-identify and you take accountability. And I feel like that's a big theme of today, to where it's like not too much accountability is taken, to where like my favorite song on the album is Hard to Love. More
Music.
so because, huh?
Music said.
Well,
That sounds
you know the inside.
yeah.
So,
It sounds like a poem in a song. It's beautiful.
and like when she just goes into like ballad towards the end of the song, that's like body chills every time. And like obviously because of what happened, it just hits me. But it's also what she's saying in the song is that like I can't force you to fix my issues.
This nigga
No,
here.
and at no point in a situation, whether it's family, significant other, or whatever, you cannot bring people in and say, "Look, I'm being real. I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm saying what it is." You can't force nobody to fix every single thing that went on in your life just because now that they have taken on the ownership of being your partner, or even with family. You can't be the people change. Shit is not always going to be the same. But if you choose to keep somebody in that one lane, then I can't fix all your issues that you had with that person that I once was, or how you are. Maybe you got to turn the mirror around to look at yourself. And I feel like each and every song on the album with her, I can identify with in some way, in some particular situation. And I would say that's just why I've been bumping them. It's probably like the only song that I would say probably didn't belong on the album was Slide,
Yeah.
because that shit came out in 2019
So
and it
long ago. And
just
the
doesn't fit the vibe.
yeah. So a few things about the album. I wasn't surprised. Like she does that with every album. Every album is that vulnerable. Every album is like a diary entry. Every song is like a different poem to whatever. I don't know if you noticed the Closer sample on Closer to Me. She sampled I think the artist's name is like Geopal or something, and Drake sampled it in like '03. I don't know if y'all ever heard Closer to My Dreams by Drake.
No, that sample was missing me right now.
I don't know if she like loves Drake or something, or like, but she always does Drake covers, Drake samples, like, but that's not Drake's song. The song belongs to another woman, but Drake sampled it really well and Closer to My Dreams when he was just about to drop sooner than gone too soon or so far gone, my fault. He dropped that song because his mixtape started doing numbers and that song was great. But great Drake sample. I also like from that album, let me just verify the name before I say it. Closer to Me and My Own. Because it's so empowering. I feel like the whole album is very like vulnerable and like you said, like there's chills every time. And My Own sounds like you said, I'm taking accountability, but I'm moving on and I'm moving into the next version of myself. And I hope you come along as well. Yeah. And I agree with Doja's album. Doja also never disappointed me. Like if people who listen to like Purr would know that this is expected of Doja. Her wittiness is coming through like on songs like Niggas Ain't Shit. That could have very well been like fuck these niggas, da, 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 ba, ba, ba. But rather she was like niggas ain't shit. Like that sounds
Yeah.
crazy. But
And
she
then people think it as, I seen this TikTok to where one dude was like, bro, why Doja, why would you expect, you're a multimillionaire, why would you expect a regular person to pay your bills? I didn't see it as that. I saw it as the way she was describing the man was that the man wasn't doing shit at all
yeah.
within the song. It wasn't like, all right, he was contributing and it was just like, all right, I'm expecting you. It wasn't like one of them songs where it's like, oh, pay my rent and you get this pussy type
Exactly.
shit. It was more like, this is my experience. I've had an experience with this man and I did everything and yet he still gave me nothing in return but
And here I am,
dick.
like
Yeah.
still like doing me and still not expecting anything of him. I was really surprised that you picked that album because I feel like you're like you said, you like what you listen to.
Hmm.
And I feel like the mainstream Doja songs you would not like and therefore you would not
I
even
got onto Doja because of TikTok. So I was like, all right, let me listen to Say So. And then I was like, okay. Then I went to the album. Then I heard Juicy. Then I'm like, all right, okay, let me listen to the album because a friend of ours referred it. And I was like, okay, let me listen to it. And then immediately I was like, the wit just got me crazy with the first album, and I was just like, wow. I was like, she's funny as fuck. And then I just started to listen to her more and more, and then that's when I like became in love the song. Like I could probably say sing Streets verbatim now, based on just TikTok, me loving the song and understanding what the words and what she actually meant by it.
People, my biggest problem with people, Doja fans specifically, is that they act like Doja is the first artist to sound like Doja. That sound is old. Doja just
Yeah.
got sex appeal, and that's why y'all like it better. Missy Elliott exists. Rico Nasty exists. Like these people are all eclectic, funny, witty, and they can rap. They just like the fact that Doja got a fat ass. That's it. Doja.
Nicki did it too for a short period of time.
Exactly. So people are like, oh my God, Doja's new. She's so unique. No, she's not. It's a recycled sound with a better ass and a more natural one. That's all.
I've never seen that.
Nice.
Her ass is nice and natural.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to investigate this.
Investigate.
But
all right, well, people, that was a long ride, but it was a good one. I would say it was a very one of our more in-depth conversations that tackled a lot of topics and avenues and brought on a lot of different perspectives, which we always appreciate. And as I say to those of you out there, to our hundreds of listeners, because I'm speaking it into existence, we have wonderful conversations, and when they get flowing, we're not going to stop them from going. Okay, so stick around. You might get some gems, you might not, but we're
do what we want here.
Yeah, we do what we want here. We're going to continue the conversations to have more in-depth and better conversations with the wonderful people. Shout out to the producer for being here today, and shout out to our wonderful guest for coming and taking the time out of their day. Busy man over there. So we're
just
from
the adult life.
Yeah, we're gonna sign out now. If anybody want to say any special remarks, go right ahead.
Listen to whatever you want.
Yeah. People. It's Mumford & Sons, man.
This nigga still had this
absolutely nothing like said.
And I will wait for you.
I'm sorry, I hate that song. I can't do that one. That's not the one.
All right, people. We see y'all next episode.